Your overtime's favorites with Gladys Knight and the Pips and Midnight Train to Georgia. And joining us in the studio this morning, we have Barry Gordon with us. Good morning, Barry.
Morning, Gary.
How are you this morning?
I'm good.
Congratulations on your Hall of Fame inductee. Boy, that's something in your business, and something that we all achieved to do so far. Some of us haven't even made the Hall of Shame, but to make the Hall of Fame is really something, so congratulations to you.
Thanks very much, Gary. Appreciate it.
Now, one of the interesting things, the whole concept of what Gordon's does is very unique. And a lot of people wonder, in moving in that part of your industry that you do, the whole concept of getting people not only just ready to move and physically doing it, but it's the planning stage. Yeah. Here's a typical question. When's the right time to move?
Yeah, it's a tough question, Gary, and it's one that weighs, I'm sure, on a lot of the minds of our sellers, trying to figure out what the right time to move is. And it's a question that's unique to every single individual, every single customer, of how to figure out, what's the right thing. And this time of year, a lot of folks are starting to think about, is this the year that I want to make sure that I move before winter? We've had a few folks come on stream just in the last couple of weeks that are thinking, I've thought about this for a few years, every this time of year, wondering, whether or not I should try to make a move down from my 2-story house or my bungalow with the garage and I got to go outside, etc., to maybe an apartment or something where I don't have to deal with stairs and I can keep my car inside if I'm, and some of those kinds of issues. And they're balancing, they're trying to decide if this is the year, because of course what everyone wants to do is they want to be where they're happiest. And that's what we want them to be as well. We want them to be wherever they're the most happy. But that's an evolving thing. When you're 30, where you're happiest is one thing. When you're 50, where you're happiest, maybe something else. And when you're 70, maybe it's something else. And when you're 80, maybe something else. And, on it goes. So it's a weighing and balancing to make sure that you're finding the right thing. And then also what you need to do is you need to spend enough time planning ahead to make sure that you can go where you feel like that next happiest place is going to be. Because sometimes it's available right away when you want to, and then other times it's not so much. And today's paper, I was just looking at the newspaper today, the local Kingston paper, and there's a big article about buyer's market and some of the things that are shifting in the real estate industry. And that doesn't mean that your house is not saleable anymore. It's probably the opposite, but it may mean that you need to plan just a little bit longer time horizon to make sure that we can meet all those goals and get you moved if that's the thing that's on your mind.
Well, there's a lot of influence that people have, their own family. People come along and say, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? So your service from your organization also could be sort of that second opinion, that buffering point of view, because doing it all the time, I think what is happening, where the real estate market's at without being, a commercial real estate company. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's sort of, you probably had the opportunity to give some pretty good advice on that.
Well, that's true, Gary. Being the unique kind of real estate company that we are, a company that sells property for seniors every day, and estate executors and powers of attorney, we're always dealing with customers with similar kinds of issues and circumstance. And as you say, there's lots of family around at times that want to, and sometimes there's no family, but there's friends. And folks have, their opinion on what's best for you and want to offer their advice. And for the most part, that advice is the best advice they can give. But as you say, it's not always arm's length, and sometimes it's colored a little bit by the circumstance of the individual. I want you to come and live near me, or I want you to, get out of that house because you're too far away, and it's, I'm not comfortable with you there. I feel like it's not safe, and I want you to get into a better environment. Or it may be a situation where, one or more family members they've got the internal struggles about what's fair for me as an adult child. I want to get something from mom, and maybe what I want to do is get the house, right?
Well, and I think too that a lot of older people don't have pensions to draw from, or if their spouse has passed away and they've lost the spouse's pension or whatever, the only equity or cash they have to live on for the rest of their days is going to be the equity they have in their property.
Yeah, a lot of times that's true, Gary. You've got folks with a house, and maybe they've got a Canada pension, old age security situation, but not a whole lot more than that. Maybe a little bit of capital saved. But you bet it's the capital in their home that can drive their comfort in a comfortable apartment or something like that, for the next stage of their life. And so that's all important. It's important that they get good value for their house. It's important that they get the timing picked right. It's important that they get good economic support and advice through the process as well. And it's important that they pick the time that's the right time for them.
Okay, Barry. Thank you very much. Every Wednesday morning, I know you drop by here usually with Jack on 102.7 The Lake, and we appreciate it. This is good advice. Hopefully people now can get in touch with you, obviously, and further discussion on their real estate equity needs. And, I know that you specialize in serving that unique need that the mature, those of us who are now maturing in age, need.
Thanks very much, Gary.
Thank you. Barry Gordon. And you can get in touch with him, of course, at Gordon's State Services here in Kingston. Coming up, the news, and right after, we've got the business report here this morning as well on 102.7 The Lake. Rick Choma is